evening, everyone, and welcome into another installment of the Halfway House by the Golfing Dads. And if you didn't see our show on Tuesday live,
Tuesday, what day of the week is it?
The official apparel provider of the Golfing Dads Tavern and the Golfing Dads Halfway House, and just the Golfing Dads in general. So thank you to Golfish for that. But tonight on the Halfway House, what starts this week, guys?
It's baseball season.
It's baseball season, and as we are a golfing
baseball,
channel,
Ray,
but
baseball.
So we decided,
Iowa.
We decided that we were going to put together our all-time lineups for baseball. The rules were simple. Yep. You had to pick someone at every position. So starting pitcher, all the way back around to third base, catcher, outfield. You had a relief pitcher, a closer, and 3 bench players. So 15 players total. And this is all time. So you can pick any baseball player, any professional baseball player of all time. And we're all going to pick one at each position. So we'll go around.
And they had to play a majority. They had to play a majority at that position.
Yes. Or are known for that position at one point in their career. So not just on a random day when you have the third baseman pitching because you don't want to deplete your pen. He cannot be one of your pitchers.
Like Robin Yount is an MVP as a shortstop and a center fielder.
There you go. So, like we said, if it was a fantasy draft, they'd have to have both positions listed under their name. So with that, we'll go in order. So position number 1 is a starting pitcher.
Yes.
Out there. So Dave, I'm going to let you go first here. Who is your starting pitcher for your all-time team?
I tell you what, I put this list together a while ago when we chatted about some other things going on, and I had 5 starting pitchers. But if I'm going to go with an A number 1 starting pitcher, it's the Express, Nolan Ryan.
Okay, he was on my list. I went back and forth between him and who I ended up picking. The Express. So I did not pick
Dave,
Nolan Ryan.
You made the introduction wrong, Dave. It's the best pitcher that has never won a Cy Young Award.
Correct.
Also true. Also is one of the best Netflix documentaries.
Yeah,
and Dave, by the way, Dave, he was mine too.
Yeah. Okay, so he was our starting pitcher. So it would have been a clean sweep. But I figured you guys were going to go that way because I do think he is. So if we're putting together our all-time list here, that does put Nolan Ryan as our starting pitcher. I went with the pigeon killer himself.
Oh,
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson was also on my list.
So I had a different one, though. Dave.
I thought you just said you had Nolan Ryan.
No, my second was
your
Pedro.
Second was Nolan Ryan.
My second was Pedro. Because, again, at that time in the steroid era, Pedro didn't do it, and he was that dominant. Like, dude was dirty. Dude threw seeds.
My number 2 was Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
Because he throws as fast as you or I do?
Yeah.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Yes.
But I agree. I mean, I think Pedro was on my list of starting pitchers. I thought he was a good one there. Clemens was up there on my list. For this.
And I had Roy Halladay.
So if we're putting together an all-time list, you both said Nolan Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. So Nolan is our pitcher.
Yep. Are you keeping track or am I?
Both keep track just so we have a record.
Okay.
Just so we have a backup.
Okay.
All right. So he's got to throw to somebody behind the plate.
Steve,
position number 2.
Tomorrow is my no.
Yeah.
So your guy behind the plate. Mine, I will tell you, mine is more going back to my childhood, and this was one of my favorite players as a kid. So I'll say mine a little bit later, but I want to see what you guys went with. So, Steve, I'll let you go first here.
Steve took Carlton Fisk.
I did.
I don't know why I even waited for this one. So.
I did take that.
All right.
You know what's funny? I had the guy. I originally had the guy who caught the most no hitters on my list as my catcher, and then decided to change it to Carlton Fisk.
Okay.
And you know
So
the guy
Dave-
who got the most no hitters is?
Carlos Ruiz.
No. It's Jason Varitek.
Yeah.
Jason Varitek has got the most no hitters in baseball.
Yeah.
4.
I have somebody. He's a Hall of Famer, but he bounced around a lot. I'm
Okay.
taking Pudge.
Okay.
I looked at Pudge. I thought about it because the dude, you didn't run on that dude.
No.
You never ran on that dude.
Yeah.
So you would think that I would go with, as a Yankee fan, I'd go with Yogi. I thought that was going to be my choice.
I
for
had
this.
you going with the other one.
So, but I actually went with a different New York team. I went with the Mets.
Oh,
and I
you went with
Gary
Piazza.
No, I went with Gary Carter. I said, I go.
Ooh.
This is
I looked at
totally
that one too. That was one of
a
mine.
childhood idol of mine. Like he was one of those players that I thought was great. I loved his energy, and that's a lot about how mine goes. Is I like those players that have that energy out there. So that's why I went with Gary Carter. So
I like
If
it.
we-
That's a solid pick. I looked at Gary.
And
I'll be honest,
Steve,
Gary was
Steve,
on my
just to
list.
clarify a point, Carlos Ruiz also has 4, just like
Yeah.
Veritek.
Oh, does
Yeah,
he?
at the
Okay.
time.
Yes.
Okay.
all right, so good. That's we're fact checking here too. So all right, so if we had
Yes.
to pick one,
I'm going to say this. I looked on the ratings of catchers. Johnny Bench was the number 1 rated catcher of all time,
Yes.
which I was surprised neither of you had. Carlton Fisk was number 4.
so I'm gonna lean towards Fisk as the person we put here, just based on.
I was going to lean towards Gary Carter for the emotional everything
I like
that he
that.
did for
I like
New
that
York.
lean. I like that lean.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll take Carter here if you're gonna give him to me, but.
But I think iconic wise, when you think catchers, Gary Carter's not in your top 5 of people you think of catchers, whereas Carlton Fisk and Pudge are. But I would lean more towards Fisk.
All right, so we'll go Fisk here because I think Gary Carter was a top 10 catcher of all time. He is one of the top 10 catchers, but
Yes.
so we'll go.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to first base.
This is going to get interesting.
This is gonna get rough.
This is where the popcorn comes out, and I think I'm going to start the popcorn.
So all right,
Mark
Steve
McGuire.
going with Mark McGuire. I would not have put you to have Mark McGuire.
I mean,
I wouldn't have put that there.
I was a huge McGuire fan as a kid. I literally this was the easiest choice for me on this whole list.
Okay. So Mark McGuire.
I saw him. I was at the game where he hit the ball off the Mass Pike.
This is where I go to my first Yankee.
Donnie Baseball.
And there's a lot of Yankees I could have picked here.
Right.
Yeah.
But I gotta go with Lou Gehrig himself on this one.
Ooh.
All time, I'm going Lou
Solid
Gehrig,
pick.
first base, one of the best first basemen of all time. There's a lot of great Yankee first basemen, and so that was a tough one for me. But
Yeah.
I gotta go with Lou Gehrig on that one. So, Dave, who do you got?
Here's where my first Philly comes in
Okay.
for first base.
Ryan Howard.
Pete Rose.
Oh, okay. So, Pete Rose
Didn't make my list.
Well,
Not make
look,
my list either.
but when I constructed constructing my all-time lineup, when you hear some of my other pick, I'm taking the Hit King.
No, I got you. I
Fair.
don't blame you.
I'm taking
I got
I'm taking Charlie Hustle. Give me Charlie Hustle all day long. And I did look
All
up.
right.
He spent 85% of his time at first base. So
That's a
All
fair.
right,
That
so-
hey, you did the homework too. I'm impressed.
yeah,
So, of our 3 picks, where are we?
I think
thinking
it's
here?
Gary. I think it's Gary.
I think it's Gehrig.
Okay, I was like, I'm hoping
Yeah.
you guys are going with Gehrig out of all that. So, all right. So now we move on to second base.
And this
And
pick hurts me.
this pick does not. This pick hurts me because of this season and the team he played for defeated my Yankees this season. But when he played for them, they weren't in LA. And he's the only player to have his number retired by every team.
Just hey, do me a favor, because he's mine too. Just pencil him in as the as our pick.
Jackie Robinson. There we go.
Jackie Robinson.
There we go.
Go ahead, put him in.
Yeah, Jackie wasn't my pick, but
Who was yours, Dave?
Robbie Alomar.
Okay, that's a good pick.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick.
He had a higher WAR than Jackie.
He did have a higher WAR than Jackie. I mean, I just think Jackie, for the game,
Yeah,
did
Yeah.
so
For the
much
game,
for that game.
yeah.
It's a tough one there when you're going up against someone like that in history that no
Yeah.
one can do what Jackie did ever again.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
All right, so we move to the number 3 spot at third base next.
yes. Mine's easy.
Chipper.
This is where I actually do what Dave did and put someone who started at this position until he was moved because his team said it was easier to get a hitting third baseman, so it was easier to move him to shortstop than to try to find a hitting shortstop. Mr. I play every single game. Cal Ripken Jr.
Ooh, that's a good one. I went with Chipper. I took
Mike
Chipper.
Schmidt,
We
greatest
knew that
third
one.
baseman of all time.
We knew that was there.
We knew
Yeah,
that was the
so-
easiest. That was the easiest. That was like me picking Fisk. I mean, really?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm gonna vote for Mike Schmidt there because I do.
I would agree with
that's,
that. I would agree with that.
That is the better one of all of these. I'm taking mine based on I want the guy that's going to be there every day for my team.
Greg, you and I have the
Yeah,
next
which-
pick. It's the same, and
Yeah.
I don't know if Dave does, but you and I already have the next pick. It's the same.
The captain at shortstop.
Yep. I took Jeter.
No, I took
And that was-
You
I took
actually,
the iron.
you actually. Hold on.
Yes.
Because this is shocking that a Boston Red Sox fan, and don't worry, I'm
Again-
going to return the favor at DH.
So, then we have the same pick at DH too.
I figured we did, but we'll get to that. All right, so we got the captain.
Oh, do we have a
there.
clean sweep at DH?
Oh, we might. So we'll see. At the DH, but who do you got for shortstop, Dave?
I have the Iron Man.
Oh, so
I
you went
get
with
it.
my third baseman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is, I think it's a great pick, and I think that could be something when we get to bench players that maybe we consider that as we both had him as a starter in a position that maybe we have him
Yeah.
fill in there. We can talk about that. So,
All right. Outfield.
this I was telling Dave before you got back on here. I said this was the hardest for me was outfield.
I
Because
put
I feel
two of
there's so
arguably
many
the
players.
greatest hitters that played in the outfield on my bench.
Okay.
I put two
and
of the-
I started them.
I went with one of the greatest hitters of all time in the outfield, and then I went with fielding too. So my outfield is
So-
more about fielding than it is hitting.
Okay. So my outfield has 2 Mariners and a Padre.
Oh, I think you got one of my Mariners. So I have a Mariner, and I
have a
what
Mariner.
do you think it is?
I got the sweetest swing in baseball at Junior.
I have that
Yeah,
I
one.
got Ichiro
Nope.
and
All right,
Tony
so-
Gwynn.
All right, so we both agree on Ichiro, so he's already in our outfield.
Yes.
And we agree on Griffey.
You two agree
Dave
on
and I
Griffey, so all right.
Yeah.
So I have Willie Mays.
I do too.
Ooh.
Oh, so okay, this is gonna get interesting point. So, and I got Babe Ruth because I got to
Oh,
take the soft swing.
I went Barry Bonds.
All right, so you're the only one.
Barry
with
Bonds is on my
He's out.
bench.
Okay, so we can consider at the bench later on.
Tony Gwynn is on my bench. So, but yes, I had Willie also.
You had Willie Mays too. So
Yeah,
our
Willie.
outfield is Willie Mays, Ichiro, and Ken Griffey Jr.
Yes.
That's a hell of an outfield, I'm going to say.
Right.
All right. It's time for our DH.
Poppy.
Yeah, it's Poppy.
My second choice there was Hank Aaron.
So I had Hank Aaron is one that I like. This is what I said with outfield. I didn't know where to put Hank Aaron on
Right.
this list. So that was a tough one for me there. But
Yeah.
I thought that just Poppy was so dominant. And as a Yankee fan, that was tough for me to put there.
Yeah.
But I also didn't second guess myself when I did it. So
Right.
The 04 series alone and the hits in the 04 series, yeah. No.
he also has the greatest This is SportsCenter commercial of all.
It's
One
true.
of the greatest, not the
Yes,
greatest, but
no,
one
yes.
of the greatest with
I
Wally.
would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what you
So-
think.
Wally.
Wally.
So
Reliever, not
before
closer.
we get to our
Yeah,
before we get to
reliever.
our bench, reliever.
Yeah, we're going reliever, closer, then our bench. All right.
Yes.
So reliever, Dave, who you got?
You know, I had a couple people down here. We all know the closer's Mariano, and I think
Yeah,
to set up Mariano, I'm taking Dennis Eckersley.
Okay.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Me too.
All right. So mine doesn't even matter, and this is one I kind of struggled with. I just wanted to go out on a limb here. I went with the Goose.
That's you know what? I
Ooh.
looked at the Goose. I did
Yeah.
consider the Goose, but I went with Eck.
I liked the Goose. I liked the Goose's numbers. I think just from a consistency standpoint and what he did with baseball, I thought as a relief pitcher, he was a better relief pitcher than he was a starter, and that's why I went with him. So, all right.
You know who I almost went with there? The only other guy other than Eckersley to have 150 wins and 150 saves.
John Smoltz.
John Smoltz.
Yeah,
Thought
I
about
thought
it.
that Smoltz. I thought about it as well. So, all right, we know the
This could be
closer.
a long man.
There's only
Yep.
one closer,
Yep.
Trevor
the
Hoffman.
Sandman himself. No, you shut your mouth. It's Mariano. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even.
All right, let's
asking
go
you
to
guys.
the bench because that was the easiest thing we've ever done. That and the DH were the two only positions that we all are.
Yeah,
we're
those
all
two.
about.
The DH
Yeah.
and the closer, we were like that. Those were locks. So,
Yeah.
All right. So my bench, I had Ozzie Smith,
oh, that's a good one.
I had Barry
I actually
Bonds.
didn't consider that.
and I had It's All About Ricky.
You can't
That's
put
not
Ricky
bad.
Fowler in here. We know how much you like Ricky Fowler. You can't put him on your bench.
I need somebody
It's
to
all
steal
about it.
bases late in the game. I need
So,
somebody to run for Poppy.
I
Ricky was
had
one that I really wanted to put on my bench, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So I went with Tony Gwynn.
Okay.
I went with the last guy to hit 400,
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams,
Uh-huh.
and I went with the last guy to hit for the Triple Crown.
Ooh, Miggy.
Oh.
Yeah, I went with Miggy
All right. So
because
this
I
is-
really wanted to take Yaz, but if I had Williams and Yaz on my bench, y'all would make fun of me. So
See,
but here's the thing, I wouldn't hold it against you, so
yeah, like
well,
I
I
kinda-
also that would have
I-
also given me 3 outfielders as my bench, and I was trying to diversify myself.
yeah.
I looked at kind of the same thing, so I went with my bench. I had to go with Mickey Mantle. I needed Mantle on
Yeah.
here somewhere. One of the greatest players of all time, and a Yankee. So once again, had to go with that. Then I went with George Brett. I actually wanted on here. I thought that little
I looked at
underrated
him;
at
he was my
times.
backup at third base. I'll be
Well,
honest.
that's why-
it was between him and Chipper at third.
I wanted him as the infielder backup on my bench for that, and then
Yep.
I had to go with someone who, like Babe Ruth, is a pitcher, is a hitter, and is the most modern player I'm going to put on here. And I only put him on here because he can pitch and hit, even though he's only really doing one right now. I went with Shohei at this point. I did. I went with Shohei, and that's where it was really tough. But I wanted that kind of.
See, I looked at Shohei, but he's great. Like, there's no doubt about it. But in constructing an all-time greats lineup, if he blows his shoulder out or his arm again, who knows what's going to happen,
Right.
down the road. So that's kind of where I went with that one.
I'm
I will
gonna
agree.
use that. I'm going to use that against you in Griffey because that's where I kind of held. Griffey was the poster child of injuries that he could have been one of the greatest of all time.
Here's my thing
think
on
Shohei has
look at Griffey's numbers
lived up to
though.
Griffey.
Griffey's numbers still to me are even with his injuries. Griffey still put up PlayStation numbers.
But that's what Shohei put up last season. That's what I'm saying. 50-50,
not arguing
won
that.
the World Series. So that's where I was there. I'm not saying I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying this is where I justify myself here. So, all right. So our bench is wide open here.
I'm going to back George Brett on this one.
Oh, okay. Well, here's what I'm saying. Also, we can also look back to players that we had in our starting lineup that we didn't put here.
So I had Barry in the starting lineup, and Dave had Barry on his bench.
On the bench.
And I had Cal Ripken at third, and Dave had him at shortstop.
Right.
So, we can look at that too. I'm not saying we have to with both of those.
Yes. I feel did Tony Gwynn didn't make the outfield because we both had I had Tony on my bench, and Gwynn didn't make the outfield.
I would go Brett, Gwynn, and Cal would be my bench out of those.
I would take Barry over Cal.
So I agree with Gwynn.
I don't need another left-handed hitter in this lineup.
That's the other thing. I also so
wait, am I getting Pirates Barry Bond, or am I getting my head can't fit on this screen Barry Bonds?
Does it matter?
Well,
everybody
Pirates Barry Bonds would get you 50-50.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we still don't know. I mean, McGuire. I put McGuire on the list. I know. I find it funny. None of us took A-Rod.
Yeah, I mean, I liked A-Rod, but I like that there's other players that I like better at that position. I think A-Rod was a great player, and I'm saying this as a Yankee fan. I think he was great, but I think A-Rod he was behind so many great players that he just falls a little bit back in that shuffle.
I also look at him at slapping the ball out of Bronson Rowe's glove and think he's a bitch.
Yet you're going with Barry Bonds and all the stuff that's tied to Barry Bonds.
I mean,
okay, so why don't we do this? We'll pick an infielder, an outfielder, and then a utility type guy.
I like Tony Gwynn.
Infielder.
I'm good with Gwynn.
Gwynn and Cal gotta be there.
Okay. All right, so our last position.
I'm not gonna. I really have a hard time arguing against Ricky at this point.
Yeah.
I like Ricky. I like Ricky right there.
Yeah, Ricky could do.
I got a hard time arguing against Ricky.
Yeah, probably the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
He could run for Poppy late in the game.
Yeah, I think that's a good lineup all time.
Yeah.
So
let's recap the lineup. At pitcher, we have Nolan Ryan.
Yep.
Yes.
Catcher, we have Carlton Fisk.
Yep.
Yes.
First base, Lou Gehrig.
Yep. Second
base, Jackie Robinson.
Yep.
Yes.
Third base, Mike
Schmidt.
Shortstop, the captain, Derek Jeter.
Yep.
In the outfield, we have Ichiro Suzuki.
Yep.
Ken Griffey Jr. and Willie Mays.
Not to be confused with Willie Mays Hayes.
Yes.
Not to be confused with him.
Yes.
Runs like Mays, hits like shit. At DH, we have David Ortiz, Big Papi.
Yep.
Yes.
Our setup man in the bullpen is Dennis Eckersley.
Yep.
Yes.
Our closer is Mariano Rivera.
100%.
Yes.
And then on the bench, we have Tony Gwynn, Cal Ripken Jr., and Ricky Henderson.
I'm not going to lie.
With Billy Ripken.
I want to see this lineup. Like,
Who's
if this
the
could have ever
manager?
happened. Oh. Lou
Wow.
Piniella.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
that was a
Lou
joke.
Piniella. He was actually Joe Torre's got to manage his team.
Joe Torre, yeah.
I think I'm going back further. I think I'm going Tug McGraw.
Ooh, there's a Philly.
Yeah.
I think I'm going like Tug McGraw. I think I'm going like
Does that mean Tim McGraw gets to come out and sing?
sure.
There's only So, all right. Well, I think we got a great lineup
But
here.
that would make a
This
good
was-
manager and bench coach, whether you have Tug and Joe
Yeah.
Torre there.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Tug and Joe
And
Torre.
Stottlemyre is your pitching coach.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. I
like
think this was fun. I gotta say, I love putting this together. I loved the debate we had and coming together, and a lot of similarities here. So it shows what you see with baseball. So enjoy the baseball season and enjoy the golf season as well. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something that's
That has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits for 700